Emily.
It'll be like Baurice will be sitting there in like in one spot, and then it'll cut it, and he'll be like, it'll just be like a quick little, like oh, did he just twitch so fast? And he's wearing a different shirt now all of a sudden. But just doing this after him.
Wait, we're supposed to do wardrobe changes? Oh, I'm way behind.
That's what you do at the 30-minute mark. The wardrobe changes.
Well, that's how you get like a week's worth of stuff in one day.
That's smart, actually.
So you just have a wardrobe. We need to bring a wardrobe person in.
Right.
Because we would just even if we film multiple podcasts, we would just wear the same shit.
Well,
just turn your sweatshirt inside out from what it is right now. This is different clothing.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
It's completely different.
Or if we're used to like span it out, like there's a lot more in between, and then you by chance wore something similar to the last time you saw a podcast, you're like is that the same? I'm like, it is the same thing, but it's been like weeks, okay? It's not like I walked up.
It's my rotation. You've caught me again on the day that I wear
this. This is Thursday's gear, okay?
Yeah.
I have a black sock and a white sock on right now, okay? Holy cow. Well, everything sound good? You guys
Yeah.
sound good?
Sure.
Yep.
Even though we're already bullshitting, but, oh gosh. I had a fucking fuzzy right there. That was weird.
So weird. Craziest shit that could have happened to you, right?
Show that shit already to me, dude. Oh my god. Fuck. Okay. So today we have
And we're back.
we have Baurice Nelson, who is probably one of the most interesting people that I know, to be honest with you. And Lydia.
You have a limited.
Yeah, like did they dumb you down a little bit? 'Cause I feel like this is on a very high bar. And then of course Emily is here again against popular.
Oh
no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I'll be the next one to get fired.
I'm just kidding. But Baurice Nelson, okay, is hanging out with us today. I say that he is the most interesting man in the world because I don't know. He just has that kind of have that buzz around you that makes you feel. You don't have to say anything. You just feel interesting.
It's the Adderall.
You don't have. So is it true that Adderall is a recreational drug? Like can be used as a recreational drug?
I mean, it's not what it's prescribed to me. But,
but like, okay. So if it's prescribed to
Doc,
you,
I'd like to have a little fun. Here, take this Adderall.
Yeah.
That's
Have
definitely
you
not how
fucking
that
painted a
works,
car
yeah.
today?
Yeah.
No, I mean, do you ever you ever just kind of get heavy-handed with it? You ever just like, okay, I'll do two. That's fine. Or how's it work?
No, I don't. Well, I maybe I would have like 25 years ago.
Yeah.
I heavy fisted with it probably, but
You're like 5, 10.
Well, I don't know. That would be a lot. I mean, it's for me. I mean, I don't know about other people that are constantly have a high tolerance and stuff. It's kind of like you have to get used to it. So when you go on it, you have to get kind of used to it. And I take a very low dose. So I'm supposed to take 2 10-milligram pills a day, and I take 1. Sometimes I take a second one. But there's people that are, I don't know, way above
Skittles.
Well, that higher. If they're prescribed it, depending on what's going on, I probably need a higher dose personally. But I mean, I do.
Does it not mess you up like traditional drugs? But did you notice a difference in yourself? Like,
yeah, I'm awesome. I'm just
you're like fucking on Adderall. I'm the fucking best.
Yeah, and then I'm not. When it works, so it's like
Feel that.
So you'd rather be on Adderall than not on Adderall.
Well, I don't like being dependent on stuff.
Yeah,
personally.
that's a weird way to put that.
So
okay, you like the feeling. I guess it's still. I mean,
I do like that because it does help me in some areas, and it's kind of a weird thing with me. I'm not sure. Maybe I've been misdiagnosed, possibly, but I do get lost in myself. So, like, if I'm going from A to B, I have tasks to do, things. I can easily just veer off, and it's usually whatever I see. So if I'm just walking along through the house and I see something, oh yeah, I need to do this. So I think I'm being efficient because I'm just doing it in the pathway that I'm traversing the house.
Yeah.
But I'm really being terrible because I'm adding all this crap into my day that I shouldn't do, right? And that's how I remind myself to do stuff a lot of times too. Is I'll leave things around that before I leave. Before I leave, like
Fellow ADHD
I take a little lunch to work with me when I go to work, and I leave a lot without remembering to go get it out of the fridge. So when I'm getting my stuff ready, I put my keys for my car in the lunch, so I can't leave without it. And so
smart.
I just do stupid things like that sometimes. I mean, I do it all the time on everything. But
you're like, I forgot I drove there, so I took the bus home.
Yeah, right.
Your car and your lunch is there.
It isn't going to get that bad. But that is just kind of normal like issues that I kind of go on with. So, with Adderall, I don't really go through that stuff as much. I mean, it's kind of, I am more productive, I feel like, but supposedly on ADHD, stimulants are supposed to calm you down. That's what I've heard. Like, so if you drink coffee, you don't really get pumped up, or Red Bulls or anything like that. And I do seem to get jacked up on that stuff. I don't go to sleep on it. It's not like it's been described to me. So I'm a little and I do feel like charged up when not as much now. I've been taking it for a long time, but in the beginning, the only way I could really explain it would be, it's like kind of being plugged into the 220 instead of the 110.
Oh, yeah, when you're supposed to be 110.
Yeah, right. You're just kind of like, ding, I'm just here, and so I feel like I'm a little more focused. I'm moving a little quicker, but I might also be tripping over myself. I don't know. It's just,
your mind's moving faster and your body is, but like maybe you're not getting as much accomplished as you thought you were.
yeah, because I'm adding more stuff too.
Yeah.
I think I'm doing better. I mean, it does. Yeah, I think it does. I mean,
I wonder if it's one of those things that's going to be found out in like 30 years. Like, actually, what we realize what happened when you take this stuff is it causes this, and you could be entitled to compensation.
yeah, right. Because in 30 years, I'm close to death. So either
with that attitude, for sure,
from whatever.
Goddamn,
well,
from Adderall.
From Adderall. That's what I'm saying. By that point, we found out that it does this. It's the 31-year lifespan.
Or we find out that Adderall was actually like the fountain, the quote unquote fountain of youth.
That'd be
great. You're like, I don't know. I've been
hell yeah.
There'd be tons of people that would already be.
Crushing it up and snorting it. Like, this is good.
Right. So
that
back to your question, yes, I think that because it is the upper, so it's a speedish type thing, right? So
did you bring any with you by chance? Or
no,
just unrelated.
Back at the Airbnb.
I got plenty. Don't worry, I got you.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I think that you definitely would. I think I don't know about a bunch of kids in high school, but I think that high schoolers would probably be going for this easily because it's a speed. It's just
I had a friend in high school that he used to take Adderall, but he used to say that he hated it. He hated taking it because he didn't like how it made him feel. He liked when he wasn't on Adderall. I don't know that anybody else around him liked when he wasn't on Adderall, but he didn't like it. So he told him, I take it. I took it. And he would have these stashed, and he would give them out to like other people. And I'm like, what are you fucking guys doing, But like he wouldn't take it at all. And his mom was like, are you taking your medicine? Huh?
Yeah,
he's just fucking out of his mind.
See,
You're getting $10 a pill for those things.
Holy shit!
He may not be have acclimated to it though, because I mean, when you're not on it and you take, it's just like anything for the first time. It's just, it's a lot, and so.
That's what it was with me with meth.
Yeah, right, right. But after just a couple of weeks, you're right in. It's just totally.
My friend started to get loose. Like, oh, I better put the brakes on this.
No, that's just a storage facility for more meth. You just take it through that.
Hold on. Oh.
Yeah. So no, it's I don't like being on it because I don't like being on anything. But then also when I'm not on it, I just feel like I feel I can get. That's probably how I sat and watched The Walking Dead. Like
I saw you posted that. You're like, he's like he just found The Walking Dead. He just finds
in like January.
And I'm just like, dude, that's such a cool show. 10 years ago, and I was sucked in. First, second, third, and fourth season, I was like Flynn. I was super in. And then it was like they drifted away from like what made it so appealing. But then you're still locked in because it's still the show.
Well, yes, true, in some way. And I was told that was going to happen to me too. And so now I went all the way through. I did get, because I'd come home from work. I get home from work like at 1:32 in the morning, and instead of going to bed, I would start just watching, and then it would be like 5 in the morning, and then I wouldn't get up till 11 and stuff. So, but I did like in 2.5 months, I think I did the whole 11 seasons. But when I got more towards after Rick was gone.
Spoiler alert.
Come on, it's been out a minute.
I mean, it was cool 10 years ago. What happened to that comment?
I haven't seen it.
Really.
I haven't seen it, so I was just
thanks
fuck.
for that. So about that time, it was just kind of like, it was still cool, but it was getting a little drawn out. And so I was skimming. Anytime it seemed like a dramatic scene, so I probably missed some good information. So I was just forward.
I have no character development whatsoever.
No, I just want to see the action. Where's the zombies? But then I went straight into Fear the Walking Dead.
Okay.
And have you done that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So first 3 seasons are pretty good. They're not bad. And then I just fucking hate it. It's like I've quit. I can't stay through it to see it to the end. And I know that somebody comes back in there that I did like, but. It is just Morgan. I just can't stand Morgan. If you know the character Morgan, it's just like, oh my god, it's just. I don't know. Did you ever watch Star Trek?
Yeah,
Next Generation.
I watched Next Generation.
Yeah,
Star Trek,
Next Generation. So to me, whenever Next Generation, like they needed to fill an hour of time for a show, and they just didn't really know what to do, they just went in the holodeck. because you could create anything you wanted in the holodeck. So they could make any story. Oh, it's 1939, and we're all in 1939. So they could take the story away from the ship a little bit and give you an episode of some other kind of thing, but say it was all because they were in the holodeck. So it's just like they're manufacturing extensions on this story. I want to get past those stupid episodes and find out what they find out there. And that's I'm on the mission.
Is
with
he a
them.
fucking zombie? No.
Yeah. Well, how do these guys survive here? What's the deal with this? I don't get a little love interest romance thing going on here. I'm sure it plays in, but it's just time killer to make these 11 seasons.
It makes it more dramatic when they kill somebody. Like, oh,
there was some pretty bad.
They make him love, but like,
and brutal too.
I
Just
think
so
when
brutal.
the zombies started to like shift away from like how they introduced zombies and their functionality. I think all zombie movies have done that. Like, it used to be zombie, mindless things just wandering in one direction. And then they've gone in The Walking Dead. You've seen it happen. Like, it developed into like these zombies have like wherewithals and they can kind of steer.
That was just at the very end though, and they didn't really.
And I was like, you've changed a lot. So you can tell that they had to change something. They knew they had to, because it was like, okay, now how do we keep the people in it? Well, the zombie can climb the ladder now. All of a sudden,
That was like at the very end
like,
though.
Holy shit.
That was kind of weird.
Or like an in-betweener zombie that's like not all the way a
Right.
zombie yet. I'm like, okay, come on. What are you doing?
It used to be when we watched, like, before all this, when you had to watch a show on television at a specific time, if you guys can remember when that was. So, like, whatever. The show I like was
7 o'clock came on.
Yeah.
Next Generation came on in 7.
Yeah, and then you're going to see it then, or you're not seeing it. That's how it deals. But like all those shows that were like based on that kind of deal, I always felt like, not Star Trek included, but any, I was a big Chips fan, so I watched Chips. But any of these shows that tried to be kind of normal. I mean, you could say like a Brady Bunch would even be maybe, but the hour-long shows that were, whatever. You knew that they were going down the tubes when they introduced like the UFO scene. It was like always like that was their jumping the shark kind of deal, where it was like, the jump the shark term.
Yeah, but it's almost like a Hail Mary. But
it
could stick.
But
Maybe it will.
it never did. It was always towards like the last couple of seasons or whatever they were on. They'd throw in this UFO. It was like, that's just a weird, like, their go-to to make something that people are like, what's up with that?
Is it because like then without the creativity, like, or the creative writers they have now, it was like something that people could relate to a little bit. Like
I think
they go, oh shit, aliens.
Maybe the time, late 70s, early 80s, when a lot of that stuff was on, was probably, that was Star Wars time.
Yeah.
It was just, Battlestar Galactica, which I'm supporting today.
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah. So I think that the mindset of everybody was sort of in that. UFOs. And there was TV shows on, like, In Search of type shows where they were, like Ghost Hunters, but for UFOs back then. It was like all UFO
Remember
stuff.
Unsolved Mysteries?
I love that with Robert
one
Stack.
in the morning, you're laying there 1 in the morning passing out, and it's like, and tonight, I'm like, what the shit? What the hell was that?
That guy was that guy was
Sounds like
great.
you're speaking into an old McDonald's microphone. Fries and burger fries.
Yeah.
So Adderall, though, you should try the Adderall.
Oh, okay.
It'd be like an upper.
I mean, it doesn't seem like I don't believe it's super addictive for me. I mean, I can not take. The only reason I don't take it is
You're like I can not do it. It's fine.
I can stop anytime I want to. I just don't want to. No.
Heard that before. It sounds vaguely familiar.
No, it's other than just the productivity. That's just it. Where I have stuff to do. And the ADHD problem is you put stuff off to the last minute, and then you highly effectively do it in that last period of time.
300 miles an hour.
Yeah. This kind of helps you not be quite like that a little bit. But, I also have just, like I was saying, my taxes, I had to figure out my taxes. Well, that's because I just sat down and fucked off for like 2 days, and didn't even, and I meant to. I mean, I had all these, I make myself a list. I got to remember to make the list. But if I make the list, to the day, and I can go down and check that off. That's how I'm productive through the day. But, and I just got turned into something else. And I mean, it's just, I knew it was.
Put your car keys with the list.
Yeah, right.
That's what you should
I
do.
couldn't find either. That's why I didn't go anywhere for 2 days. No.
Like I just sat in the bed.
Right.
Nothing.
I knew I was supposed to like eat or something. I just didn't know. No.
That's crazy.
And I do feel like it's getting worse as I get older a little bit. So
You should just not stop taking them.
I should probably take more. I
You
already talked to them.
You should thought like not doing so much stuff. Not doing so much stuff. I feel like you are always doing something.
It just appears that way.
less now, because like I feel like before, like it always seemed like you were doing something different. Like, there's a show. This is my clients in the limo thing. And I'm like, you're always doing something at 150 miles an hour.
I think that partially is true, but part of that was strategic. So like with the limo thing, a long time ago, this guy told me, I thought it was great advice. Facebook and stuff was just not really exploded yet when we were talking about stuff. And he's this guy who owns a nail salon. And so he was just telling me, goes, oh, I think we were just all new on Facebook at that time, or newish or something, and or at least not doing anything, but actually using it what it should be used for. Like, here's a picture of my cat, and I'm, whatever, not blah, or whatever's going on there, right? So, which I guess it can be a platform for anything, but that's not what the intention was in my mind when I first hopped on there. So, he was just like, no, just talk about what you're doing, because that is free advertisement. So when you're out somewhere with the limo, don't sit there and go, hey, rent Capital West limo. Just take a picture of the car out somewhere. It's a beautiful day in Seattle. And I was like, because more people will respond to that, or just not tune that out as much. And so that's what started me kind of doing that. I mean, I like doing stuff like that too, but it kind of promoted that angle of it, I think, a little bit. And the shows weren't really in there yet. But the difference is what you're noticing on that. When I lived here, I tried to have a little bit of a format to what I was doing, but it was kind of more helter-skelter because it didn't matter. I could go over here Friday or next Friday. Now I'm flying back here, so I'm trying to do whatever I'm going to do in one weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to space it 5 weeks apart. So that doesn't always totally work out, but that's my plan, just because I got to get a ticket, I got to pay for some stuff. And so if I can do 3 shows that don't suck, then I have the most in one weekend, right? If I can do a Thursday, Friday, Saturday somehow. And that's still been kind of tough for me to do, but that's my plan. So you're seeing that as opposed to this Friday, next Saturday.
Or 2 shows that are really great and one that's mediocre. That can work too.
That does. But 2 shows, if I got 2 shows and both are mediocre, that's
the other one has to be great.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm fucked.
Yeah. Well, luckily, I mean, like this weekend. So tomorrow at Ricardo's, that's probably not. It's got to be in my top 3 not good sales on tickets, and then downtown's fine, but the room down there only holds like 50 where you're coming on Friday.
Yeah.
So that I lost my train of thought on that. Why was I telling you that? See this? There you go. Where's my Adderall?
I was fucking gonna say, I got one right here. I bought from you earlier.
I should have taken. You sold it me for 10. I'll sell it to you for 20.
25 because you need it.
Yeah, I don't remember what I was telling you. Why was I telling you that?
You're talking about go and shows and packing it all into one weekend.
Oh yeah, the bad. So the bad. Yeah. So like here's a weekend where it's. I mean, when I get out of the whole thing, it's I'm losing money. But I still have. I just had Gabriel Rutledge not too long ago, which is great
that was a
for me.
Killer show.
Yeah,
that was so much fun.
It was. I think what's happening to him is he's always been, so willing to do all these shows, and he'll go to where people are at. But I noticed I've done these with him in different capacity for 10 years. So in the beginning, it was just my deal with him was I'll just pay you. He was saying to me, you just pay me this much per show, and I'll do 2 shows for you in the Olympia area, and I won't do any other shows in Olympia. And so I was like, oh, that's a great deal, because he's getting guaranteed a certain amount that is reasonable for what we can get for his shows, and he's not going to compete with himself. So I can do these 2 shows, and they're both going to be, potentially great shows, and he's not going to have, I like some of these comics in Olympia. There's one guy in particular that I do like and respect a lot. He's a great story. But when he started, he got so excited about doing it. He was doing a show every freaking week. It's just
started to saturate a little bit.
Yeah, it's just you don't want to become like the Amway salesman friend that every time you see them, they're just like, hey, by the way, I've got this product. And you're just like, I don't fucking want to talk to that guy ever, because I just don't want to be sold something. And so I think that's kind of what he's still doing great. This other guy's doing great. But Gabe was conscious about not doing that. And towards 3 or 4 years ago when we were going at it, so that expanded a little bit. So, he could do all this on his own. He didn't want to, because I was like, hey, I'm taking a cut by being the middle guy that's setting the show up. I'm putting up the money for the theater. I'm doing whatever. So I'm that guy so I'm taking the risk. Mm-hmm. But he's getting paid out less than if he just did this by himself, which he could totally do, and he'd probably do just fine. So I was always like, you don't totally need me. You have a name enough that you could just go rent the theater yourself and put it up there.
You're cutting yourself out.
You're cutting yourself. And he goes, no, it's just I don't want to have to deal with all that stuff, because I want to just go do my shows. Yeah. And so he goes, he doesn't feel it was unfair. We have good. I would hope that if he thought our situation was good, he would have said something. But I felt like we had a very mutually fair deal. But it worked for both of us. It worked for me for sure. And but I did do a lot of that legwork. So I think that he has discovered that, and as we was saying, as we went to other places like North Bend or Yakima or whatever, we'd be in a coffee shop or something, and somebody would be like, hey, I see your videos all the time. I see your shorts all the time. So he was starting to get that just in random locations. I mean, this isn't very far from the house, so I don't know what he's doing in like Nebraska or whatever. But I mean, just to be recognized.
It's so funny you said Nebraska. They're from Nebraska.
Well, that's why I said that. I did research before I came to it.
No, fuck. Who the fuck we got on here? What the hell's going on?
But you know what I'm saying? He's just like I'm like, okay, you are hitting. Maybe it's just the repetitiveness or whatever. But you're getting recognized, and like the people that were saying that to him didn't know he had the show that night. So like none of them. Every time we ran into that, they just recognized him blindly. It wasn't like they were getting pumped full of show advertisement and it was fresh in their head. They liked
social media marketing working. Really, or algorithms working.
Yeah, the organic part of it, I mean, where he's just constantly pumping that stuff out there. So it was clear to me that there was like something was happening. And he's also was able to start doing, not always, but he started doing 300, 400, 500 seat theaters without it really being too much of a problem. Where before, we're hoping to get 100 people at a show, and it's a good show. But I mean, he's been a long time. He's been getting put in these clubs in Vegas for a week and stuff. And so I don't think he's totally selling out. Like with that mentality where I thought Gabe would never do that. I don't think it's like that. I think it's just that he in a comment that he's made, it's he can go do a show somewhere on Saturday and make more than he's been making doing the pattern of hit this little guy, hit this little guy, hit this little guy, and he can maybe be home more with his family.
Self-preservation thing, yeah.
He's got kids in high school and stuff. I mean, I don't know what his goal is on that, but I think that it's just if I can make more doing a little bit less running around. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, he earned that technically. I mean, he earned that.
It wasn't like so I don't think, if anything, it's something he's. I mean, I don't know, but I don't feel like he's the kind of guy that anything like this goes to his head. He enjoys doing that. He's just this super chill guy. He's kind of, tied in with his family and stuff. And when we've gone places where we've gone overnight and stuff, he might come out and have a little, drink and hang out and BS with us. Usually comedy related subjects or something, and we're just talking about, and it's a good time. And then he's back in his room and he's gone. He just doesn't. He's not out there. He's just doing his thing and going home. He's not like looking for the party.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think that he would ever be like he was somebody who would like sell out to the thing. But I guess I thought that the booking thing, he kind of just maybe enjoyed that part of it, keeping it tight. I guess maybe I thought that he.
I think he likes having somebody else take care of some of the stuff because then it frees him up to be creative. And which I am discovering, which I have no idea what Gabe does to prepare himself. But for me this will be the second actual, because that Washington Center show and now this one on Friday is one where I've actually planned a routine. And
like your intro, like your
yeah. I mean, I didn't just come out and make that stuff up at the Washington Center.
I thought you were spitballing it.
You just the whole time.
Yeah, I thought you were like fucking Johnny on it, right?
Did you really think that?
3 Adderall, dude, will fucking.
I become Chat GPT. It's just.
So, do you think though is crowd on that subject? Do you think crowd work is cheating?
Well, I don't know if I have a good opinion of crowd work or not. I think I'm not totally up on the social media aspect of how this thing's, because Matt Rife, I know, it's just
Matt Rife is like Mr. Crowd Work champion,
and that's what propelled him. Apparently, I don't really know that backstory.
That's an opinion.
But
all of his snips though from on social medias were all the snips they showed from the first time I saw him until I guess a couple 2-3 years ago. It was all just his interaction with the crowd. It was never just, I have a bit, here's my story or whatever. It was always
but if you go and see him, like I have not seen him, but I was doing the limo thing. I took people to go see him at the Pantages in Tacoma when he was up there. So whenever that was, 2 years ago or something, and which was kind of funny because there's people that I took up there, just some girls that wanted to go party at adults. They weren't like, they just want to go see Matt. They want to do this thing. We roll up outside the Pantage.
Soccer moms.
It was Danny Johnson from the Brian Johnson Karate, his wife, and her friends and stuff. They're great. And so they were just going up there having a good time. But we pull up in the limo. There's a line out front. But we pull up, you know how the Pantages sits?
I don't think I've seen that venue.
Tacoma, the Rialto and Pantages are next to each other. It's the theater time.
Maybe I have now.
It's got the big lit up sign.
I'm familiar with the name of it, and when you said it,
it's on the hill. So, like, if you depending on what side you're on, depends how it is because it's on the hill. So, anyway, it sits, so you got 2 sides, 2 streets. So one side is got like the back door. So there's, it's no way to really get away from. God, it's like 6th Avenue or whatever. No, not 6th. It's right across. It's the Varsity Grill's right across from it, but it used to be God, it used to be something else. But anyway, whatever. You'll know. It's like right by the Murano.
I might have forgot. I'm sorry. I might have forgot.
It's huge. Anyway, so the back door, like if you're going to get dropped off, if you're going to go in the back door, they're like, at the Washington Center, that's in the alley. But here it's not. It's kind of on the side street. And so that's where the end of the line was. So that's where I pull up and stop the limo to let them out at the end of the line. But at the same time, like a Kia Soul had kind of gone around me and just pulled right into this one little kind of bayish area that they have there, and some dude and Matt and someone else get out to go in the back door right at the same time, and they're just looking over at the limo like, who the fuck has the limo?
Yeah,
and
I rolled up in a Kia
as a passenger, so it's one of the other, it's like the rental car or whatever, and then they just go in, and the line goes crazy when they're, but the line also thought, the limo might be him, and so it was kind of at the same time, it didn't look like he got out of it. It was just a weird
on the window.
Yeah,
You're like, I just watched that motherfucker.
But those people, when they went to the show, they were like kind of disappointed because there was really no crowd work, and he had to even say, I can't do that in a big theater like that. It's just what I'm doing in the clubs. And that's what I do for the internet. That's not what I do for my show. I have an act, too. But that was kind of pissing some people off a little bit.
That's very different than what I know you as. You got some strong feelings about Matt Rife, it sounded like when you... That's
an opinion.
It was,
he's a trash bag. True.
He's a trash bag.
What a douche.
He's an asshole.
I don't know anything about him personally. I just know that I know of him via the crowd work stuff. And that's why I thought maybe, is that cheating? But he could be
Yeah, he's a douche.
Oh.
Well, yeah, look at him. I mean,
like, come on.
I mean, come on. His face is so fucking punchable. Like, period. I don't even have to talk about what he said and what he's done and whatever. He just has a punchable ass face.
Could be. And he drives around in a Kia, and that's a fucking
rides. I don't know if he is on the level of things. That last special that he put out that kind of pissed some people off, whatever that was. I haven't heard much about him since then, so I'm sure he's doing fine. But for a while there, it was just maybe it's just the algorithms or something. But I was just seeing those clips all the time.
I did too. I did a lot, and then I guess the special did come out. I didn't see it, but the special came out, and then it was like he just disappeared. Maybe cash out that Netflix check or whatever.
I don't. Yeah, now he's chilling.
Yeah,
Netflix and chill. So he, I don't know. But to tell you what I think the crowd work situation is for the comics. There was a time when there were bands, and then there was a time that there was MTV. And the bands just naturally started feeling like, fuck, we got to make a video. Because everybody's watching the video. It's just where we're marketing. I think that's what comedians think they got to do, is they got to do crowd work. And it's probably what's getting the views and the entertaining pieces of that, which is getting their name out there way more than it would be without. Mm-hmm. I think it kind of sucks because it's just like, it seems like a lot of work,
yeah.
but maybe it's not. I mean, because a lot of work because I'm trying to figure out what it is that I need to be doing, and I'm kind of like, I don't even know how to do that. So
you're building a set, and they're like just picking some guy in the car, like, nice hat, fuckhead,
Yeah.
like, oh shit.
Yeah, and it's on purpose, and it's filmed, and they got So I think some of it's a little setup. I don't think it's like
sure.
When. He might say his little bit there, but it's a fishing line.
He has a fishing set. Basically.
Yes,
he has a way to start it no matter what.
Yeah,
reactive.
It looks very spontaneous, but probably. If
did you have a problem with that? It's like,
yeah.
I've seen him bounce off of that with like, not him, but just a general crowd where comedians will bounce off of like even hecklers. They'll jump off. They'll ping pong off a heckler, and they'll do it by telling a joke they know they're going to get a heckle from some angle, and that's just by reading a room or knowing where you're at. You can just tell a joke. It's going to get somebody's going to bumper you like bad, and then you can go, I'm sorry, sir, and then boom, there's your lead up for your fucking crowd work because you know that, and maybe you just get good at it. You're like, well, there's only one dude in here that thinks that way, so we're gonna fucking go off him, and then, of course, then you have the crowd on your side, which definitely helps with the crowd work.
Absolutely, yeah. You don't want the crowd turning on you.
So to some extent, you probably do have to plan something, and if your first hook doesn't go, then try another one.
You got another thing. I think it's just a perpetual. You do this forever, and you get like a little. Well, are you familiar with who Brad Upton is?
Yeah, he's funny. I seen him at the Tacoma Comedy Club. 3 or 4 years ago.
Well, he's like 70.
Yeah, and his delivery is so good.
It is,
and he has that comedy that I dig. Like, you're like that's old man comedy. It's like all the jokes are like new and original, but his delivery and the words he uses is very relatable to me because I like.
Because you're old.
I've been around. Well, that she's just straight, dude. Ow. I'm like I'm like the comedian on stage in the story about the black guy. You just fucking took a shot at me, just like that.
Wow,
That's what
that
it
was
is.
a great comment.
Wow.
You're like, and you brought it back, Randy.
Well, so
Wow,
Brad,
I get it. Racism. I get it.
I was
Oh.
referencing his racism. is
Yeah.
what- Yeah,
Wait,
let's not-
wait.
Let's not change the racism card.
apparently I'm inherently. No.
You're inherently racist. I knew that about you with the Battlestar Galactica shirt.
Yeah. Did you guys want to see my card that I can? No.
It's right next to my privileged one.
Oh my god.
So Brad did something that dry bar comedy specials that come out. Those get tons of views, and so he hit some crazy, I don't remember, broke the internet kind of viewage with this a couple years ago. And I mean, a couple years ago, at 67 or whatever he's at, and he's been a comedian for 25, 30 years. So cruising along, being able to do shows that are paying him, enough to live and whatever he's doing, and he's getting other gigs. But so he's been at a higher level than just, downtown Olympia kind of a venue bar or something. But he hits this thing, and immediately, so Brad always came and did one show a year for me usually, and he never said no. He might have said a different date that worked, but he always came. When he hit those views, and I'm like, hey, just checking in, want to get something April through June. And he goes, well, good for me, bad for you. I got an agent. And I was like, oh, well, that was right to the point. Got it. Okay.
I respect that, but
Yeah.
hate it at the same time.
Right, because now the agent's going to take control, and the agent's going to take a chunk too, but the agent is going to have his tentacles into stuff I certainly don't.
If he's a good agent.
Right, but hopefully these guys are not, making mistakes. So I don't know. Now he's a couple of years from that comment, and I've seen that maybe he doesn't have that agent anymore. I don't really know. I've not researched that, but it seems like his show level, and he just had a knee replaced, so he's been out for 6 months, and so, but he's posting videos of that, and that looks like something you never want to do. But
have a knee replacement?
yeah, it's just fucking cut all the way down here, and it's like
Jesus.
you're
You're like, I'm fucking bionic now.
I
so.
mean, it looks like he should be. They should have put something in there. So, anyway.
By the way, I have an agent.
Yeah. So, which he had to go. The agent had to go through. No.
He had to have a matching replacement.
Right. Yeah.
Just as a show of honor.
Yeah, I'm there for you. So if Gabe can start getting these bigger gigs and get paid, look at the rise of Matt Rife showed you that process in hyperspeed. But I think for some comics never make it there. Some, like Brad, maybe it took him 30 plus years of doing comedy, and then he got this little bump, and he went for it. He wasn't like, oh no, I'm just happy doing this. You're offering me, a bigger break, more to, I think that he's calmed down after. I think he did a year, and then I don't know. I my gut. I'm not talked to him or anything, but I saw him doing these, these bigger shows, and now it seems like he's tapered back, and that could just be, now I've accomplished that. I'm older. I'm not 20. I'm gonna make it.
Imagine doing comedy that whole time though, like a good chunk of your life doing comedy. That's as your profession. I'm assuming. I don't know what it takes, what level of comedy you have to be at before that's your profession and that's your only job. But I imagine doing that whole time, and then at the very I would see the tail end of it. You're probably not gonna do it until you're dead. Maybe you will. I don't know.
Well, okay. So there's a Dwight Slade. I don't know if you're familiar with him as a comedian. So he was in Portland for a long time. Pretty funny. Dwight Slade, Brad Upton, probably same graduating class of comedy. So probably in it for about the same amount of time. And Dwight's a little younger than Brad, but I think that their length. I've just known both of them to be in the business for as long as I can remember. So I don't know where they both started, but there's a chunk of people in that group to me. John Kieser's in that group too, so but he's on the upper age end of that. But Dwight, funny guy. Dwight was in Portland. He would come up and do a show. I don't know, once or twice a year, all the time. And then he moved to Boise, and I was like, okay, well, fine. I finally get my shit together in Boise. I got a comic there that I like and likes me, and I had him come back and do a show at Ricardo's, and I hadn't seen him for a year, and he shows up, and when he's walking up to me, I don't know what it was, but I was like, something's not right. Something doesn't look like Dwight used to look. There's something wrong. And then I watched him do it. Now, the same act he's done for years. So it's like when he starts doing it, I kind of know it by heart. And he's on autopilot doing it, like the Pledge of Allegiance. By the time you get to in 8th grade, but and he did, and I was just like, I didn't know, in my head, I was just like, oh, does he have MS or something? Or, well, when he was leaving, he had this old 67 Cadillac or something like that. And I was just like, and I just bought this 79 Lincoln. I was talking about it. He's like, oh, I sold my Caddy. I was like, why? I was like, I wanted to go for a ride in that when I got there sometime, and he's like, it's just too much. And it just sounded different. And then he came out like 2 weeks later and just said he had Parkinson's, and he was letting everybody know that he was done doing comedy. So he did do it until he couldn't do,
Fuck.
and I don't know what condition he's in right now. My dad has Parkinson's, but so I know what it looks like, and it's, if you know anybody that has it, I'm obviously Michael J. Fox was highly functional for a while there, but and forcing himself to still go out, but man, you have a demise coming, and it is a slow process, and I don't know if you're aware of every tick that gets worse, but when I see somebody and then I haven't seen them a little bit and I see them later, to me, I can tell it's like, Jesus, dude, man, I'm so sorry. You
were closer to the end than the beginning, homie. Like, that's wild.
Yeah, and I mean, it sucks because I'm sure that my dad is a civil engineer, mathematical person, and a virtual Spock in some ways. He's just kind of pretty emotionless, but very, very brilliant as far as he designed bridges and stuff. And he's not. He's in a little electric chair. He's got a little bag, and he's drooling on himself, and I can barely understand what he's saying half the time. He is almost 90, but that's not why that's like that. But I am sure that inside the head, it's just supercomputer fine.
It's ticking,
I don't really want to be that aware of the.
That's the worst part, is knowing. You're like, if I had to know, if I was just in a real bad condition, I don't know, to be aware of that, and then know in my head, also compare that to like what I used to be. Like, if I just that awareness of it would drive me insane.
It seems like it would. I mean, I don't know, maybe you'd be your best self and just be like, I can combat it this way, I'm going to deal with it this way. But
optimism, I guess hope, or not hope, but like drive to want gets you a long ways. But
yeah, it might get you a lot further than the person that just goes, fuck it, morphine me out, just I don't want to do
fucking
this.
Clock me out. Yeah. There was a story about the NCAA football kid that got. He was like all-star. He was like in his freshman year, and he got into like some collision on a kickoff or whatever, and he had this accident, and it left him basically initially paralyzed from the neck down, and he's laying on the field, and he's like, but in his head he tried to get up like 3 or 4 times, and he's like, I can do this. What are you doing, dude? Like, stop playing around. Like, he's like having this monologue with himself. And he's like, then I realized later on the fucking field, and I realized when the staff was all around me and shit, he's like, this is serious. Like,
yeah.
And even still, he went for weeks and weeks and weeks in the hospital. And finally his arms came back, and they got him up to here. It came back, and his legs not right away, but they did finally, everything came back. But he had said that he knew it, but he's like, I had to will myself to believe that none of this was real. And it wasn't until they were like, no, you have like a 3% chance of walking, let alone feeling anything. And it was only then that he's like, he had to just, will can only take you so far.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Because you're like, there's no other, you're against science, not like my want. I want to fucking get up out of this bed, right? But I can't. Right. And he eventually made a full recovery from that. And so he's like, I wanted to do whatever I could to be the 3%. Yeah. And so they're making breakthroughs with the Parkinson's thing, as I understand it. I think Michael J. Fox and his foundations were like a big part of the drive to, they have things found out about early detection and stuff.
Well, I mean, that helps maybe somebody that's not already
to the disease. Well, I guess I look at like, you hope that in future we can also eradicate things. You hope that not everybody has to deal with the looming Parkinson's or the looming Alzheimer's is another one they really always try to work on, or looming things that are out of your control.
Right.
You know what I mean? Other things you can kind of like curtail yourself.
Well, that was Brad had a heart attack in the middle of this whole thing. So when he was back when I was talking to him before the agent part, he had a show with me, and he canceled his, and then he ended up doing it later. But the show he canceled was because he had thought that he had esophagus cancer, and he went in, so he was like, I'm going to be in the middle of my treatment and stuff. I can't do shows. Turned out he didn't have it. Something misdiagnosed, further the whatever this, or maybe it was like, these symptoms typically tell us that you have this, so now we're going to send you further. Now he's reporting, I've got this, and I don't know the process that he went through. Didn't end up having that, but whatever he had was, Bob Rivers. Yeah. So Bob Rivers just died.
He just passed away.
The same thing that Brad was told that he had, didn't have, but that's what got Bob Rivers. And so, he was, he would have had that. He would have done his comedy up to that. And then in the middle of just kind of dealing with that not being cancer, but whatever, he had a heart attack. And so, that could have been it. So he could have literally, I'm sure there's plenty of people that do that, but, there is taking it, all the way to the end, I guess, well, if you love it,
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't want to do anything else. But
you want to sit around. There's an old guy that, old man Bob to me. There's a Bob. It's when I started doing limo stuff in '91 to buy a limo. I went down to LA and looked for a used limo to buy, and I met this guy Bob. Worked for basically a limo dealership. It's a very small thing, but so in LA there was this, and there was a few at the time, but he just worked for this dealer. He was just the sales guy for this limo dealership. An ad in the white pages or whatever. So that's how I went down there. Just went and looked up ads for cars for sale. Ended up meeting Bob. Bob was old at that time, so that was '91. Bob lived up until he was 11 days shy of turning 100, and so and Bob at the end. And Bob married Julie and I. Bob became a really good friend of mine, and he also somehow through that managed to sell me every car that I've ever bought too. So maybe there was a little bit of a correlation to the friendship, but it was.
and you guys were like or he married you. He married you guys. Okay,
he was he was the officiant.
I thought you guys were like a weird like a Utah. Like,
no.
You just moved to Idaho, which is close to Utah, so
I
thought maybe that
much closer than Washington.
And
it's evident too.
I thought that when he said married, I initially took that as like, oh, like cool, that's new age progressive.
We're miles ahead of everybody.
It's no wonder he's a fan of you.
It's a website, marryoldman.com.
Old man comes with a free limo.
Yeah,
Found him
so
in the white
he
pages.
was, but he said, and he smoked a pipe and drank a scotch every day. And he just and he joke. Everything was a joke, like 500 times, same joke. But it's just like, oh, I've been offered cancer a couple of times, but nah, thanks.
I'll just totally fine.
Yeah, well, he was up until he just dropped dead basically. But he said,
They died of athlete's foot or something.
if I ever stop, if I stop working, I'll just become an alcoholic and die. And even at the end, he would still go in 2 days a week. So I think Julie and I stopped and saw him when he was about 98. And, he's still sitting there. You kind of tell he was
You're like,
old, but
Jesus Christ, did you build this fucking place?
he worked for a guy that was like my age.
Yeah.
And so but that guy took him in at one point and just basically paid for everything, paid for his apartment, gave him a car, and he just worked and he got like money to live off of. So he had like a great arrangement. So this guy just took care of him all the way to the very end. It was a very cool thing. I've never talked to the other guy again. Jay, I think I've talked to him once, but that was just when he called to tell me, don't come to the 100th birthday party because there isn't one, So we're like,
because Bob canceled it.
Yeah, Bob, and but he did the last thing that he said. This is funny. This is true. So he's in the hospital. Whatever's going wrong, he's in the hospital, and he's passing in and out. And so Jay's in there with him the whole time, and nurse comes in, and Bob wakes up and just says, "Dr. Kevorkian here yet?" And then that's it. That was like, I don't think he just dropped in right after that, but he joke after joke after joke, so, but he lived almost to 100, but his thing was, don't quit. If you quit doing something, like you're just going to become a lump. And I don't know that I'd become a lump, but
I just would worry that, I'm a go kind of person. I'm always keep myself busy, but I would worry that you're what's the term? Burning the candle at both ends. Like
right.
You can go, but are you in fact
shortening everything?
Shortening? Are you fulfilling? Or are you shortening? Or both? Are you doing both? I don't know. Like, is there a happy medium, or is there a way to be? Can you either? Are you an all or none kind of person? Like, can you do that? Half throttle it? You don't do the limo thing, or you don't?
No, I sold that before I left,
okay.
So that worked out just randomly.
Because you got the fuck out to Boise. You live in Boise, Idaho.
Yeah.
How is Boise?
I love Boise. So
it's still a college town, right? It's still a college
yeah, during
town.
the summer. Yeah. During the winter. Whatever school season is. Yeah. I think that's evident. There's Bronco stuff everywhere, but I don't feel like I like kind of the core downtown Boise area, but it's a lot more than just the downtown
get fucking mad.
Boise area. Downtown.
Fucking downtown.
And I live very close to the stadium there, so when there's a game going on, I can hear the score better through the window than I can. It's just like, it's like, oh, I know.
Yeah, the Broncos now 47 points in the first down.
Much better rendition than mine. But that's pretty much what it is, and so. So that's kind of cool, but you go into the outskirts of like the other, Olympia, Lacey, Tumwater, how it kind of just expands out, right? So Boise it goes one way only. So Boise's like the tip, and then it's other little Garden City, Eagle, Meridian, Napa as you're working your way back towards Oregon. It's the flow of humanity. And downtown Boise,
it's not a philosophical the flow of humanity.
It did. It flows. It flows towards the ocean. But Boise's kind of in the back and up against the mountains, so it's kind of a cool spot. So I'm like 6 blocks from the hills, so I'm on one end, and so if I just walk 6 blocks, then there's the hills. There's nothing, and so and there's trails, massive park and trail systems everywhere, which is very cool. And I'm also 3 blocks from the river. You go to the river, that green belt goes miles in each direction. So
cool.
All that stuff is very, very cool. It's very clean. Boise, I kind of like. It's sort of a. I mean, Idaho's a conservative state, but Boise is sort of the liberal armpit, and so it's a nice mix. Because I'm a middle of the road guy, want to fucking infringe on anybody.
I knew that about you.
I don't want everybody going bonkers either.
I liked Boise we were there. And by the way, if you get a chance in Boise, you probably have, but there are like 4 different diners, drive-ins, and dives spots that Guy Fieri went to. And you should hit all those. There's a milkshake.
The West Side
Tavern is what it is.
West Side Inn. West Side Drive-In or something.
Yeah, with that cute little place.
It is cool. And his poster is there. That's how I know.
Oh man, yeah. We during COVID we went out and we started hitting all the Triple D locations that we could, because there was like.
You went out over there?
Yeah, we went way out Coeur d'Alene, and we went down Boise.
Okay,
we went all over the place.
Well, we rented a place right by that West Side Drive-In.
West Side Drive is what it is.
Yeah, West Side Drive-In. Yeah, it's on State Street. It's like a few blocks from the
one of those one ways you're talking about to get there. You had to go all the way up and out, and then of course the construction for 1,700 blocks.
Still there. Still got the construction on.
It's
State
one
Street.
way in the middle there. Still the one way.
Yeah. It's a shop and show.
It's 2 years since we've been there, and it's still.
Well, so back then when that was going on, we were probably a house we Airbnb'd was like 2 blocks from that place. We'd walk to that place all the time.
God,
that's the historic. That's like the Capital neighborhood here. That's that area there. So no, I like that. I love it. And so one thing that I've noticed there, this is kind of something I've been working on a little bit for my deal, but when we moved there in June, it was hot out, so it gets pretty hot there, and we're up late. We got dogs, so we walk dogs late at night. Sometimes 1 in the morning would be kind of like last thing we did, go take dogs out for last walk. Still like 70 degrees out. It feels great. We would just walk neighborhoods near us, just to check out the houses and whatever. We're just, nobody's out, so we'd walk different neighborhoods all the time, and at that time of day, everybody's in bed. And the thing that blew my mind is in these neighborhoods, like let's just say this neighborhood, a little more tight, but in this neighborhood, just walking along, every third garage door just wide open, just not closed. I'm sure that's maybe a venting the house mentality or something, but I mean, I was just like, what the fuck is going on here? Because at home, it's like, you don't just leave your shit.
I do that in this neighborhood in the
Sure.
summertime. Like I just have my neighbor across the street, super cool guy, that retired couple over there. His is open. He's got his dirt bikes and stuff out there, and it's like you can tell this is the one. And people in the neighborhood have told us that, like, for some reason, you're aware of Olympia and Lacey and the various trouble that we have here, but like they. She says that for some reason it stays outside of the road over here, Carpenter, of course, and Mullen. It just stays away. I mean, it's the other side of College, and then that way,
That's
other
the
side
unique
of Farman.
design.
It's just
of this.
weird how it stays away, and so this is kind of I'm like, that's what I want. I don't want anybody.
Well, yeah. So that was kind of
down.
nice, comforting. Just like, okay, it's but that was like everywhere. It wasn't just. And then a lot of new construction, a lot of people moving there, which is going to ruin everything. But
goddamn,
I'm part of it.
You fucking transplant.
Yeah. So the new construction neighborhood, you'd go through there, and we just walk through, and these houses are different, arrays of being built, but the appliances for the house that's going to be installed there, they're just sitting in boxes in the open garage. There's ladders and extension cords and compressors. I mean, there's not like some guy's personal toolbox, but it's shit you could steal. It's just like, but there's nobody.
There's an oven there. It'd be inside of a shopping cart flying down Martin Way by now.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's just like, I'm sure lots of maybe copper, maybe they've gone to PEX now, but that was just like, we noticed that constantly. And I was just thinking, that's I like that, because obviously, universally they're not overly concerned about this, or they wouldn't be doing it, because you're not going to lose your shit very often and just keep doing it, right? So it's just must be a much less of a problem. Or if not, it's so non-existent of a problem that they're not preparing
Not
for it.
so worried
You know,
about it,
back
yeah.
home, I'm like going to bed every night just getting ready for the purge. You know, I'm gonna make sure everything's fucking locked down. It's like, you know,
The fucking blackout fucking curtains
yeah,
with the board. Shut the board.
you know,
Are you getting ready for some kind of a tornado? No, just the fucking
the
neighborhood.
neighbors. Yeah, it's you know, it's Walking Dead. So
we get in the fucking hatch underneath the
yeah,
house.
and then we just kind of all night. No, no, it was comforting. But there was a piece of me though that was like, as I'm walking around, there's just like a little Olympia mentality in my head. It's just like, I want to go, Julie, get the truck, because these people don't know shit. We're gonna clean up. You know, it's like
you're like that is a fucking Whirlpool fucking 8600 right there, and we don't have.
You
that.
know what you can get on eBay for that? You know, it's like
Dude, you're the one out there, ironically from Olympia, that you exodused from. Like, what do you miss? What do you miss about Olympia? Like, what? I mean, you grew up here. This is like your stomping grounds. Like,
I miss the convenience of being here. So
I don't know how to respond to that. What does that mean?
well, I lived here my whole life.
Yeah.
I mean, virtually. I did live in Boise for 3 years when I was a kid, little, like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. But I there's just something. I mean, I've been here long enough that I feel like I know enough people that I feel like I know everybody, even though I don't really know everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's just like I don't feel like I had to go, fill out an application to get my car fixed at the car place. It was frank. And so, and I don't have to go down and beg a place downtown to let me do a comedy show. They're going to just like, oh, that's Baurice wanting to do a comedy show,
yeah. These are our dates we have ready for you.
Yeah, sure, we'll do that because, it's just, we're aware that, you do this. And so you don't have to sell yourself to me in the middle of other people that are already doing this. We're in Boise. I don't have that at all. It's like, I don't know anybody really. I mean, I'm getting to know a few people through my job and stuff. And I've been kind of looking at trying to do some comedy shows and stuff around there, but I'm not, there's already people doing that. So I want to, if I find the right venue and it just kind of clicks, but I don't want to like force my way into something and not make it work. It's just not work. And also I've been going to comedy shows there to see who the local comics are. And there's a few that in the beginning I was like, oh my God, it's just like, they're not really, I wouldn't even use any of these guys as opening acts. And so, and I don't, the bar's not
shade. Holy cow.
Well, it's just,
Just kidding.
It was a lot of open mics that I was going to. And in the open mics, it's just the beginning. It was like the ones I was seeing were just like, they just were not, I don't know if they weren't serious. They were taking it more like a little poetry reading where they'd come to spout off their personal beliefs.
Oh,
to,
Jesus.
Just to vent to a room of people that are their buddies.
Like, are you in the right room? Like, this is an open mic.
It just wasn't, it just wasn't like what I would say would be an entertaining thing for a crowd somewhere that you're trying to get to come to a show. They probably have their own personal agenda, what they're doing, but not what I'm looking for this. And then I started finding people that I did like as I went more and more. And so I've got a few people over there in my brain that I could use, but I don't know, just haven't found the right venue. That the Downtown Comedy Club is called Liquid, and it's a bar, but it also did comedy. They quit doing it, they started doing it again, and I didn't know it previous. There's another one too another club that does comedy, but this one in particular I've gone to a couple times, and it is twice the size of this room. I could probably get 40 or 50 people in there. There's no real elevated stage. It's really an awkward setup, but the guys that are doing it are like those guys from the open mic that have kind of gotten just a little bit better, but they put like 9 people on the bill, so everybody brings 4 people and fills the room. Ugh. And it's just like, I don't know.
Can I get him on the list too? I'm like, well, fuck, okay, what about the door?
Well, he'll bring 3 people. It's just, yeah. So I don't know. That's just not my scene. It's like, and all these guys coming to that show, they're barely scraping up $8 to get in. They're buying 1 drink. So that's not what I want. I don't want to do that. I want to do a show I can sell for $25 or $30. That are also going to spend another $50 to $75 at the establishment. So the establishment's going to want me to do the show and let me do it, So that's kind of what I have going on at Ricardo's in some way, not quite that amount, but so if you go from Boise out, if you're going from Boise out, so if you're Boise, okay, that's downtown, but then you got Garden City, which is kind of was the shitty area, warehousey area, but it's now becoming more the, it's where all little winery tasting rooms are and stuff. There's still a mix of, a hooker in and then, whatever. Just and then you go a little bit.
Is the hooker in tied with the winery? Like
it's a
unrelated.
You get a package. Yeah,
unrelated.
Get a package.
Where do I get a wristband? Is it a fucking daily pass?
It does kind of all follow the river. So and then you go outside that a little bit further. The next thing is Eagle, and Eagle is only way I can describe Eagles, it's all along the river, So if you were to just follow the river, you go through all these little spots. But when you are on the Parks Department trail, and you go, Boise, it's a lot of people. It's kind of down. You go through Garden City, that trail's a little more bumpy. It's not quite as maintained. It's that department that does the Garden City just doesn't have the budget that Boise does. But then when you get to Eagle, it's almost like it's bricks of gold, and it's very smooth, brand new asphalt.
I thought you were gonna say it's like a goat path and like this wide with pebbles and stuff.
No, it's now you've gotten to Eagle, and so like Eagle is Bellevue, and so or Kirkland or whatever. Not with the like techie part, but the money. And so it didn't start out like that. It's that's where the big ass houses are, and it's huge. It's just a big developing area. And I mean that trail through Eagle, there's park benches, but on each side of the trail, unlike before, one side back in Garden City is just like one side's the river, one side's maybe the back of some businesses or warehouse or whatever streets you can go down. In Eagle, it's the backs of people's yards. The river's on one side, but it kind of veers on and off. So the backs of people's yards, and there's fences, so you can see. You got this like little,
You need to calm down. You're fucking out of control.
The Adderall should be wearing down now. It's like the Panama Canal going through. So you're going through. So you're looking into like, and the funny thing about these neighborhoods down there is they all create their own like fake waterways like behind their houses and stuff. They have little docks, and the neighborhoods all connect. So they've got these big massive water systems that they pump in off the river or whatever. So these people all have like their own personal waterfront properties, and it's not just where the trail is. It's like that. That's a thing in these neighborhoods, the nicer ones. But there's a lot of nicer ones, and it's like, I swear when you go in there, you can smell the Botox flowing. It's just like, this is just Botox and lip filler. I'm sure it's just running rampant in this area. But that's, where I want to do the show. That's right.
The little pond.
Is Dr. Pimple Popper
just go out there.
live by?
Have you, honey, have you taken your face and stuck it in the river again today? Because it's starting to look a little wrinkly.
It's starting to fall off
Yeah.
a little bit.
All right. Okay.
Could you imagine if it was just like a fountain of
Yeah, it's just, that's her
wax
secret.
dip.
We're back to normal.
I'm so sad, but I can't express it.
But that is, in those people in there, I don't know, 40 to infinity, I guess, in whatever they're doing. I don't know what their occupations are, but again, that's the one part of it. But the other part of Eagle still, it is you have money to live there. I mean, you just have money to live there. So Eagle's where I want to do the shows, in that vicinity, just because in my brain, maybe these people are just like comedy.
I'll save that for my coastal home.
There's nothing funny about comedy.
There's nothing funny about comedy. It's kind of ironic.
Right. So I don't know. That would finding the venue there, but only because that would be supportive in some particular way. It's like So for me, there's a business side to everything. This crowd work shit. I guess if you got to do it, you got to do it. But if you got to whatever. But you also, I don't know. I don't want to be broke. So I would like to like.
I don't want you to be broke either.
I really have there's stuff I want to do, and it costs money. So I mean, I could do stuff for free, but it's not as cool.
Well, you sell Adderall.
Right. You could, but that's my idol. I mean,
you're gonna open a club then. You need to.
No, I'm not. I don't want to open a club. I have no intention of opening ever in my life.
Move the microphone. It's really loud. It wasn't an invite to do it. It was like stop doing it.
Is this thing on?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't want it. I like going to other people's places and just kind of doing things like. But okay, so where that brings me on, why am I trying to? I might not be a good comedian, but I'm trying to see if I can be somewhat. So, like I said, this is the second time I've tried to actually prepare a set, mainly because you're going to video it, so I want some material. But where before I might have had a couple of little ideas, but I'll tell you, there's a process for me. It's like I'm literally sitting down and trying to figure out what my jokes, because I know that I'm not achieving this very well, but the comedy in the comedy world, they base it on LPM, so it's laughs per minute. So what's your LPMs? And so I mean,
it's like BPMs.
Yeah, it is. And right, you want 128, or whatever. So it's like you don't want, and I don't like watching comedians that are just like, they're telling the story and it's like 9 minutes into the story and it's just like, okay, it's I'm kind of but there's going to be like something funny at the end, and then it's maybe not that funny. Well, they just killed 10 minutes for a not even a punch. So I do know you got to like try to 2 or 3 minutes and keep changing it. So I've been trying to write real life things that I'm embellishing on a little bit, but because I just can't spew like written bullshit jokes.
I
I
don't
just
know.
can't. I can't.
I think a guy like you, that's the thing. A guy like you, this is kind of circling back to why I think you're one of the most interesting people that I know. I think a guy like you could just take from personal experiences and write the funniest, or I don't even know if you should write anything. You could just sometimes be like just a biography of what happened this day and be like, okay, that's either really fucked up or really funny, or both. I don't know.
Well, I think that is, I think as I go through my daily life, if something kind of weird happens, I'm like, hey, that could be a little thing. Now, if I don't text myself that idea right away, it's gone because I'll forget about it. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. And so like for Friday, I had a few that I kept from the Washington Center that I feel are like my little bits. And then, so I just wrote down each one. I print them out on a separate page for each one. And then I just walk around the house saying it over and over and over and over again. And then I try to put them together just to get them in my head. And then I videotape myself do it. And then I just listen to it as I drive and just like, oh, that kind of sucks. That kind of sucks. A professional comedian could go, oh, that's not fucking how you do it. Just
well, it's almost like the segues and the lead ups and then what you say and how you deliver it too.
Well, in the order, like I want the order to be right because I feel like if I'm just bouncing all over the place, it's got to kind of flow. So on Friday, I'm going to talk about how I got mine because I've never even discussed, you don't look like a Baurice. Where the fuck did you get that name? So I introduced myself and just kind of go, well, this is the how I got my name, which is kind of funny in some tragic way for me, but because I had to endure it. But then I'm going to talk about current things now in my timeline of telling stuff. I don't want to go from one to this to this to this. So I've laid it all out. I want to talk about my experience over here, but that's before I got to this point. So I want to make sure. To me, you're always leading up in comedy, and so like when I book comedy. There's just been times when I think that the guy I choose to be the headliner is probably less noteworthy of the title than the guy I'm putting in front of him, but the energy level is not flowing that direction with these people. So you can't take an audience like this and then bring them back down, and so I don't want to do that. So as you're going with stuff, you want to, I feel, and I don't know till I try it. I swear I learned kind of the hard way. Like I did my 25th anniversary of doing comedy show at Ricardo's. I just put this whole show together and I brought back people from 25 years ago. They all came in. So it was a cool thing. But in the beginning, I tried to tell a couple of jokes just to get things rolling. And I said, my wife likes to come to the shows, but she couldn't make it tonight because she was deported. And the audience loved it. They just laughed. And I was like, oh, that was pretty funny, but then it was like, oh, it's okay. I did it. It's an 800 number. You just you just call it, and she's on her way back to Norway. And so I was like, oh, I wrote a bit. That was great. And then I tried that again, like with Gabe. I did the Gabe at the theater in Raymond, and then I did it at the Washington Center, and fucking it was flat dead. It got no response at all, and I was like, Jesus.
So how do you throw those claws out there to test? Okay, you could be in.
Well, I thought it was so good.
You could be in Southern Boise, and that probably that'll light up, right?
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Maybe not. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm not going to try it now because
don't be afraid. Fucking do it, Bruce.
Well,
goddamn, do it.
Because I thought that did so well that I made that my last bit at both those next things, and it was just like, oh, that was a crash and kind of burn, as compared to some of the other shit. So, I guess that's how you figure it out.
Maybe it's not funny anymore because she's now in Norway or a prison in between there. But
yeah.
That's one thing. I don't know.
It's just like it was just weird.
It's just like you could just tell stories and it would be funny like because of your life experience. I mean, you go from being a club owner, right? A club owner back in the 90s to I don't know even
some of the shit I don't even remember.
How does one get it? Well, the fucking Adderall that you didn't have, it was replaced with other things.
It was right.
I don't know, how do you end up being a limo driver? And what kind of fucking chaos is that? Besides, unless your clientele is always bougie. If your clientele is always bougie, then whatever.
I think so. In the beginning, I did mobile DJ stuff right out of high school. So it was my senior year. I kind of did my own little mobile DJ thing, and I was just basically trying to do my own school dances at the beginning because I thought that's would be like I'd be the DJ of the school. That'd be cool, and it did kind of work like that for some. After that, I just kind of kept doing that as mobile stuff. So did my school, but then I kind of progressed to weddings as I got older and other things. But so I was just doing that, but I was also working at Thai Hotel.
That was
Fred Meyer and Tom Water.
that was old Tumwater. Like when I was younger, I remember Tumwater being very different than it is now.
Yeah, it's right where Fred Meyer is. So that was the Thai. That's Thai Drive. If you go in there, it's Thai Drive. So that was a big hotel, and I worked in their lounge, and I was the DJ in their lounge. And so, but I kind of got that job as the mobile thing at first, and then became kind of a permanent deal there for like the last 9 years of his existence. But at one point, this guy started coming there that I went to high school with, and he had like this old like limo he was just showing up with. It was his uncle's limo. And it was this little white caddy.
Just show up with a limo, but with nobody in it, just for yourself.
Yeah, no, but he'd take us out like afterwards. We'd drive around. It wasn't big. It was like a little 6-passenger in the back, but this was probably like 1991 or 90, 91, right in there somewhere, 92. I don't remember. Right in there. Well, I started in 91, and that was my first limo. I didn't be my first limo. The rest were all from Bob. But one day he just kind of came and said, "Hey, we know, I know you like the car and stuff, but my uncle needs to sell it because he's going to prison." And it turns out he had like a Ponzi scheme trying to get people to invest in this like magnetic generator that didn't even exist, and something happened.
Imagine making something up that it wasn't physically possible, and people were like, "Yeah, it sounds like a good idea."
I don't really know the story, but that was kind of what I heard. And it's like now he's getting
generator.
busted for this thing, and
Just hold him.
but he got cruise around the limo. That was kind of his little. So I borrowed the money from my mother-in-law, future mother-in-law, she was girlfriend's mom at the time, and bought that, and I was a wedding package. I was just like, okay, I'll just do the limo and the DJ thing for the weddings. But over a year, we went and got 2 more and stuff. It was just like I just kind of started doing that. I just became a limo driver. You buy a limo and you drive it. That's how you become a limo driver.
Yeah, I guess. I've been shopping limos lately. And,
But it was, they weren't that hard to really get. I mean, it was just kind of at the time everybody had an espresso stand. Somehow they financed all that shit. Every store had an espresso, like Sarah's Espresso, Joe, whatever. They were everywhere. Like every store had a little like cage that was the espresso stand, and then they got more organized. But so it was easy to kind of get into, and it was kind of a thing at the time. So in the beginning, it was just driving limos for people doing whatever, usually going partying in like Seattle and stuff. So there was like people puking, and there was like people getting in fights, and there was stuff that like, but I was 24, 25 or whatever at the time. It wasn't.
So you were fighting and puking in the back probably too.
I was. I was just dealing with it to get the business. I didn't really know what I was doing in some ways. As it progressed, it got less. After 2008, almost no limos and just sedans and SUVs and stuff like that, and more corporate-y stuff. And
yeah, just town cars and the Tahoes and stuff like that.
Yeah,
right?
it's just and that just kind of the whole industry sort of kind of went that way in some ways.
I want a big fucking long car.
They got them.
I want a long ass car. I want if I'm in a limo, dude, I'm being obnoxious, and I want to be obnoxious, and I want that motherfucker to be 77
the Hummers that they came out with for a while.
How crazy are those things?
It just so I just but it was a business support me. I mean, after the Thai closed, and I kind of just focused in on that, and it just evolved. I feel like it evolves appropriately with my age. Like I can, didn't want to deal with some of that. The bachelorette parties, they were not bad. I mean, I don't know if people.
I can't imagine they were terrible.
They don't really go out drinking like they used to. I mean, I don't think either, because back then there was like bars and clubs everywhere. I'm sure there are still, but it's not. I mean, people I think were getting more tanked on a regular basis back in the 90s than they are now. Just
I feel like there's a lot of alcohol consumption, and I think if you did a pie chart on how much and where and when, I feel like there has to be some level of increase. Because I feel like people are fucking drunk, like a lot.
Yeah, but maybe not but there's Ubers, and there's other ways
Looking at you.
Well, in masses, I don't know. So, but bachelorette parties, they usually just kind of wanted to dance with themselves, go out and hang out, whatever. They were not the bachelor parties were the fucking nightmares, because it's like you get a group of dudes together, and I'm not kidding. They literally are out like a pack of wolves. They either want to fuck something or kill it. I mean, they're just not. It's insanely different. I mean, they're not like just having fun with each other and whatever. They are on a mission. And
oh my God, he's so cute. This limo driver, you're like, I guess I better take one for the team. There's six of you, right?
That was the only time I had to. There's a place up in Seattle, Cowgirls Inc., and I think it's still there.
It's still there.
So we'd go up there a lot, and one time I was up there with a whole group of girls, and I'm just. first of all, it's kind of paranoia because when you're parked outside of these places, you don't really want to be parked outside these places. There's drunk people coming and going all the time. You fuck your car up and shit, or a fight that breaks out because there's a lot of But this girl comes out and she's like, "My friend is just passed out. Can we just put her in the back and just let her?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, not unless you stay with her." And I was just like, "I can't."
I'm not gonna be responsible for some drunk chick in the back of my car.
I don't want to be. It's only an accusation away of a problem, and fuck that. And so but I mean, luckily for some reason, my brain clicked at that moment because I just felt like put on the spot. I don't want to babysit this girl. I didn't want them to have a bad time. I wasn't going to say no, but I was going to just do my job. All right, she'll be fine to sleep. I didn't want to. My first experience with that scenario, she could have barfed. I would have known what to do about it. I just didn't want to really be responsible for it, but I didn't really realize the degree of what that responsibility might end up being. She's like, I woke up and the driver was touching me, or something. Fuck, I'm fucked. I mean, all she has to do is say that. So I don't want to be in that situation at all. And so her friend.
That's why you get drunk. Really fucking hammered, like I don't fucking remember anything.
Yeah, just blacked out. Then I drove.
The driver's in the front seat, blacked out.
I drove them all back. No,
wholly hammered.
I don't really miss. It was a good business that supported me pretty well, and the experiences along the way sometimes were awesome. The Z-lister people that I got to drive sometimes that were doing like the Little Creek Casino and stuff like that,
Oh, fuck yeah. Brett Michaels and fucking, what was his face from Moldy Crud?
I wasn't Brent, but it was
God, what was his
Brent,
name? Vince Neil.
Vince Neil.
Yeah, dude, I remember you posted that, and I was like, I just did that whole production. I did like a bunch of those shows.
That's the plane that just wrecked too. That was taking him to. That plane that just crashed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. His
fucking drinking.
So that pilot ran into it was like some other celebrity's plane whatever it was, and it killed somebody on his plane.
Oh shit!
He wasn't on it, but I had just gone and seen them at the T-Mobile as part of the concert tour or whatever, and so
wasn't that the Def Leppard and
Def Leppard?
Yeah,
Def Leppard. My God, it's like they couldn't.
Know who Def Leppard is?
I've heard.
You don't know who?
Pour Some Sugar on Me.
Pour some sugar on me, which is like the all-time favorite
right
stripper song.
Yeah, those guys. I mean,
butt rock.
They came out so hard on that concert. It was just they rocked that thing so hard. That was the last one they were on was with Journey, and the Journey kind of sucked too. But Def Leppard, I swear to God, every time I've seen Def Leppard, I just go. I would go back and see them again because they are just so and they're fucking tight band, and the show to this day they're better every time. I swear to God, they're just better, and the production is just insane. Well, that's why I like going to a Kiss concert because it's just the production.
The last time I saw Def Leppard was with Kiss, and I was working the show. I was doing Trusses and stuff, and I got to see that whole thing. And I thought, okay, Kiss is going to be overproduced. Dude, it was so fucking cool. And Def Leppard was so fucking cool. And their drummer is so amazing to watch.
Right. And he's been like that more than he hasn't. It's just
I can't believe how good. Like, he's got
one arm. He's got one arm. He's got a
one-arm drummer, right? And he's got all these fucking pedals, like, on his feet. And that's how he does all the things he would do with his left arm, but with his feet. And there's seriously, it's a custom-made Yamaha, like, semi-hybrid electric kit. And it's, like, all kinds of pedals. A normal drummer has 2 pedals here and one over here. He's got fucking 6. But he's just... doing this shit,
and he'll still flip the stick around a couple times. Yeah. That was all developed for him to keep him in the band. I mean, what a cool band to just be like,
do that,
you got in a car.
Mr. Baurice Nelson here is adventurous, and so like, the reason I asked you about that was because you fucking broke in. You broke into another country.
You broke in.
You broke into another country. So. I
flew in legally.
You try to paint this picture of like a law-abiding fucking citizen, and maybe it changes when you change, countries. But I was rather surprised to hear about your adventure into the Ukraine, and how that seems fucking terrifying, and it seems like illegal. It turns out it's both. And so, like, I don't know. How do you get there? How do you say, hey, I'm gonna do
usually
this thing?
a plane.
Yeah, it was
okay. I was more referencing like the how do you get to the decision making of that? How do you
there was a wagon train, but then there was an ocean, so
we had planned to just walk, but that didn't work. How does one go? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do this way fucking illegal and dangerous.
I think part of the ADHD is well. it's what my wife hates about it is that the hyper focus is great if it's on her, but if it's on something else, everything else is just blurry.
You know we're recording this, right? Like you're...
I know. She already knows this. She tells me every day. No.
Just take some Adderall, honey. It's
Yeah.
fine.
I can tell when you're not on your meds.
Oh, dude, was that, I feel like that was like a Ghost of Christmas Past moment for you right there, dude.
Anyway.
See him just grab the chair.
Yeah. So.
Jesus.
I think that's. It helps me with some things. So I'm hoping it helps me with the comedy shit. I am a big. I like the idea of abandoned shit. So I have not been able to explore abandoned stuff as much as I would. I mean, I would make a total hobby out of it and probably go, a lot to different things. But I mean, whatever it is, up in Shelton used to be an airplane graveyard up there. And they had 747 sitting up there, along with other planes. They were breaking them down. God, we'd go fly under the fence there and get through and go through all those planes. It was just cool, fun. So I like that. Ghost towns, abandoned, anything that's society. Basically, that's why I like The Walking Dead. It's like you can just walk into like a societal area that has been kind of abandoned, but it's still there in some way.
Very apocalyptic.
Yeah, but it's it's just I don't know. It's like you're the king. And you get to move through here however you want.
There it is. Now we're to the fucking root of the...
This is my world.
Yeah, yeah. I'm King fucking Baurice.
So I'm going to go around and change all the signs to my name. This is Baurice Avenue.
Baurice Street.
Yeah.
Baurice Drive.
Yeah. So, no, it's just, I think, I don't know. You just get to, I don't really know how to describe it. There's just some freedom and adventure. I mean, it's like, I like all those movies that are kind of stupid, like the Divergent movies where they're just in this society, right? So... there's not really any major areas that you can really do, like immerse yourself in there is, and that's one of them, but it's in Ukraine, right? So in the United States, I think there's a ghost town in California, Bodie, California. I've heard about a lot. It's just like, 200 or 300 actual buildings back from the Old West that is still in pretty decent condition. And it's picked over, and Chernobyl's picked over. You are not the next person there from when everybody left, which that would be fucking incredible, just to walk into. There are some places, they're just like, work towns. There's a work town up in Alaska or up in Canada somewhere where they had, a bunch of shit, whole neighborhoods built for this, and then they just closed it, everybody just left, and they just left all their shit. And so I watched some Urban Explorer guys that go up there. You have to get up there, but basically it's just it'll be like neighborhoods like this, cookie cutter neighborhoods. And then the work crew that all lived there and was provided for, they didn't pack their shit. That was provided for them. They just beds and stuff. So you can go there and you can just go in, there's where, there's fucking glasses still sitting on the table and plates.
Still warm and shit.
Yeah. So that's, if I could get to that would be the ultimate in some way. But just the bigger, the better. I mean, it's a long ways to go to look at one old fucking shack that's been sitting here from 1812 that, I don't know. Also, I don't like that. That Bodie town, I definitely would do it. You got to fly into Reno and then you can go to Bodie. And so that would be a cool Old West ghost town, I think, to go see. But it's also kind of like almost part of the parks department. And it's, there's hundreds of people a year that go there. There's a superstition that you don't take anything from there. It's like it's bad luck. So like they say people have taken stuff and they bring it back because, the shit
their leg fell off.
Yeah, something weird happened. Old man Jebediah came and fucking got him.
Jebediah Buckley.
There's gold in them there hills, and he came and he showed up with a pick, and he, no. So Chernobyl was just like top 5 ghost towns of the world or whatever, and it's like there's one in Israel or not Israel, not Israel, but there is like Syria or something. There's like a real town, like it was a beach town, but a city that's just been since 20 years. But that is literally untouched. But it's also militarized border, and you are fucked if you get caught going into that. So no, it's not something I would be interested in.
You wouldn't be interested in that. Oh, let's see.
No. No. So this, but this, that's always number one, and every kind of search is
the photos are iconic from Chernobyl too.
So I just started watching people that did it. That there's at first, there's a legal tour you can take there. So you can go to Kiev and you can sign up for a legal tour. So I was exploring that idea. I didn't know there was anything else. And so that idea would probably have left me very fulfilled. I think I would have gone and seen a lot of the stuff. take you in a van. You go through these military, or you did. I don't know what their situation is now. You go through these little checkpoints because it's like a base almost. I mean, they just don't want you going in there. And then when you get in there, you're allowed to go to certain areas. You got a guide, security guy with you, and they got the little radioactive meter thing, and you go see stuff. And we ran into some of those groups when we were there, and it seemed like the reason I didn't pick that group because initially I'm reading all this stuff and it says you can't go in any of the. Pripyat is the name of the city. It's not Chernobyl. So Pripyat is the name of the city that you want to go see. That's what the Ferris wheel and all of that shit. Chernobyl is where the nuclear towers are. That's the power plant. And it's about a mile or two between. So you can go visit Chernobyl too. It's all contained and the bad reactors contained. So you can go visit that on a tour. You can't sneak in there because there actually is people there working, manning that shit. But the town that's been evacuated or abandoned, just basically there's a guy at the front gate of the who are you? And so that tour could go in there. They could go. You could show you stuff, but they were like, we can't let you go because of they're regulated. The government says yes, you can take people in here, but you got to follow these rules and insurance and whatever. These buildings deteriorate. You can't go inside of them. You can't go in any of the buildings. So they were saying, we can't let you. There'll be some buildings we'll show you outside the city, but you can't go in. And I was just like, well, it's like going all the way to the ice cream stand and not being able to get a cup of ice cream. So, it's like, you look, there it is right there. So I was like, I just didn't really know. The people I watched on videos that had done that, I felt like they were inside the buildings a little bit. So I just didn't know if they were relaxed. They just said that, but then we got there, they were kind of, and that is what it turned out to be. So end up finding these other guys that were just like local guys that were just advertising, we'll take you in the back door, kind of thing. And come. So that it's a whole subculture there called stalkers. They're stalkers. And it's not like a stalker that I'm.
It sounds horrible.
It does. Red flag, okay. Over.
70s apocalyptic movie called Stalker. And it's basically a guide that will take you across the apocalyptic wasteland is the stalker. And so that's a term from this movie, Stalker. And whatever the video game, Call of Duty. Call of Duty Stalker. It's Stalker. So it's not like, I'm following you home. But
because he will.
Yeah. So that's what these guys are all like. There's a whole subculture of these guys, and they'll charge you. Yeah, it's just hey.
In the fucking limo, like that's not fucking obvious as shit.
You're like.
It's so obvious it couldn't possibly be.
Oh, that limo fucking belongs here,
right?
Because it's a limo.
6 miles an hour behind me, just matching my pace. Yeah.
just in case I need a limo.
Right. Anyway, so those guys end up contacting those guys. Didn't know how legit that was going to be or whatever, but they were going to be the way. And I then started finding videos of people that had done like that style of going in there as opposed to the Chernobyl Tour Incorporated, or whatever. But like I said, when we were in there, we did run into. We were in a school and. There's a whole bunch of this story, but we were in this school and we were very cautious the whole time, probably more cautious than it made it very, very paranoia for us. Cause we had to go in at night and it took us 2 nights of traveling in the dark to get there so nobody would see us going in. That was the whole point of that. I don't know how realistic it was that there was going to be somebody at every turn, but I felt like there was going to be somebody at every turn because I just didn't know. The way that, these Ukrainian guys that only one spoke English, the other guy had 10 English words. One guy was all right, but I just didn't know. They're just shh, so all night long we're just okay, so what's going on? For hours, it's like, what's up? You're walking in the middle of nowhere,
That'd be terrifying.
And the thing is that I'd be so creeped out, like you're in a place you don't know.
It looks like here though. It's weird.
They do, yeah. I see full footage now on the internet because of obvious reasons. But you see, I'm like, God, it's trees and it's really green and holy shit.
Yeah, especially when you're out in the middle of like we were walking through nothing but not forest but outdoorsy stuff. No population. No, we just did it. And so I was going to do it by myself, but then I decided to bring my kid because I thought that would be a good experience for us to have together. And then my buddy decided to join in, which was great because he's my age and he's also a Lacey Fire guy and he's a medic. So I was like, this would be awesome just to have. And
have a medic in there? Yeah, just in case.
Just in case.
Rads get to me.
Yeah. Well, so we did. We went there. We spent a couple days in Kiev, which was, I wish I had more time to go check because that was like an unexpected extra. Was just going around and checking out Kiev.
Fun city?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really get to. We had 2 nights. We just kind of went out to different bars and stuff. But you get like the Lime scooter there, like like those scooters. We just those scooters. We just scooted all over the place, everywhere. It was awesome. It was just a few bucks, and sure, we're like almost getting hit by cars and stuff. But,
You're like, you're in the fucking road, dude.
yeah, we're just like they're not from here, so no.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah. And the people were, they were all right. They weren't like the most friendly ever, or they weren't. It's just not touristy there, We just weren't like there wasn't like this touristy hospitality going on, but it wasn't like there was just a language barrier, and they weren't rude or like unhappy that we weren't part of them if they figured that out in some particular way, and they were accommodating. It was a decent experience. I didn't have like any negative reaction to it, but going in there, it's just I thought I was just going to be terrified the whole time in some particular ways, but we just kind of set ourselves up to go do it. I watched enough of those videos that I felt like I knew how to do it. Like I really feel like I watched some of these so much that I had done the trip, and when I did it, a lot of it was familiar, and in some ways, I mean, it took 12 hours over 2 nights with a 50-pound pack doing it as opposed to 2 hours on watching some guy's full video of his entire trip. It was much more difficult to actually do it.
You'd have to hike in.
Yeah, and it was painful. I mean.